Well, hello there, and welcome back to World of Warships. I'm Corny Swiss, and this is another one of those games where I kind of forgot to hit the record button. Didn't miss a whole lot. I just drilled this battleship a few times. As you can see in the top right-hand corner, I have how many hits so far? 16, however many it is. So I have been shooting the guns, but this video I wanted to include because although this there's two replays. This first one is in the rank 5 Omaha class cruiser for the Americans. The second replay is going to be in my Myogi battleship, which is a rank 4. And I wanted to show this replay mainly because although it's short and I die, I think, fairly early on in this game, you'll be surprised by the result, I think. And that's partly due to a few factors, we'll say. But where we stand now, I've gone through a smoke cloud that was deployed by a destroyer, and I'm using that as kind of cover so that I don't get waxed by the battleships or hopefully shooting something else. We have some battleships and we also have a bunch of cruisers who are engaging them. And now I'm engaging what I believe to be another Omaha, and that's why I generally shoot AP. Yeah, he just took almost 8,000 damage from a couple penetrating hits into his citadel. It's just, I've kind of gone to, in my cruisers, almost always firing AP. Because it seems that the AP does just as much damage as the HE most of the time. Not all the time. If it's a non-penetrating hit, it won't. The HE will probably do more damage there. But, all that being said, when you get the penetrating hit, it makes up for the non-penetrating hits that you had previously. Now, there's a battleship coming up behind me. I believe that's a Congo. Yep, definitely a Congo. And that's a very, very dangerous ship. It's very fast, has tons of secondary armament, and it's just very, very dangerous. So I'm going to launch 2 spreads of torpedoes because you can. And they're going to see what happens to this guy. He's not, as far as I can tell, he's not evading, but his secondary batteries are really giving me issues. And his secondary batteries are actually just as... Oh, he did evade pretty well. Only 1 hit. The issue he's going to have is that there's like 1,000 more coming for him. But his secondary batteries are, I think, just as big as mine, which is unfortunate. And bam, he gets wrecked, and oh, there's a Cleveland on my starboard side. So hold on, let's throw out some torpedoes here. And I'm toast at this point. This was like I said, it's a very short replay. All 6, well, I only needed 3 of them, but all 6 of the torpedoes connected. So, and what was amazing to me about this replay is that this was the most damage I've ever done in a World of Warships game. It was almost 90,000 damage. Like, what? You know, 3,000 XP doubled, over 200,000 credits. It's pretty insane. But I don't know, it was the most damage ever. And I led the team in experience, even though I died well under halfway through the match. But you can see torpedoes do tons of damage. And torpedoes are interesting, but let's move on to the next replay and then talk about them a little bit more. So like I said, this is a replay. Both of these replays are from a little bit ago. I've had them just sitting around, and I finally just put them together to make a video. And this, like I said before, I'm driving my Myogi class battleship. And I'm starting off with HE. This is when for battleships, I don't know. For the cruisers, I certainly always default to AP, just because the guns generally aren't that high of caliber. So the AP shell is less likely to overpenetrate. And if you hit their citadel, it's going to cause tons and tons of damage, as we saw in that last replay, where I think I had 3 shells hit the enemy cruiser's citadel and do almost 8,000 damage to him. From, I believe it was 4 shells, because one I think either missed or didn't hit the citadel. So that's a lot of damage. Boom. That was a nice one. Got 1 hit, set him on fire. That's good. But that's the advantage of HE, is that if you hit something, you generally break it. With AP, you don't necessarily break it if you hit it. But as I was talking about at the end of the last replay, torpedoes are pretty interesting. I think they're vital's not the right word, but I think they're extremely important to World of Warships as a game in terms of just making every ship kind of competitive. I don't like if destroyers don't have torpedoes. I don't think destroyers. It's debatable if destroyers should be in the game at that point, because they're quick, they're fast, they're scouts, but they just don't do anything. You know, it's like, I mean, I guess it's the same argument you have. Well, thinking about it, well, I think in World of Warships it's much more. What's the right word? Because the immediate comparison you can make is light tanks and World of Tanks. And light tanks do have a role. There's spotting and things like that. In World of Warships, I feel that the spotting roles, a lot of battleships carry a spotter aircraft. A lot of, you have carriers who have planes who can help spot things. You have cruisers which can spot things. Destroyers, I feel like, are redundant in the spotting category. However, what they are is fast and very difficult for a battleship to hit. Very difficult for most ships to hit, but battleships in particular, because the guns turn so slowly. So, with that being said, their role is to destroy battleships. Well, if a destroyer's sailing around a battleship, eventually that battleship will probably find a way to get the guns on the target. In which case the destroyer just absolutely gets obliterated. So they need some type of trump card to get the job done. Oh, there's some torpedoes. I think he must have fired them from way over there because they didn't even make it here. So I guess my argument for torpedoes, because I've seen it in many different chats while I've been playing, is that people are saying, oh, you know, torpedoes are ruining the game. I don't think that's true. It just means you have to be careful, and you have to be aware of what ships have torpedoes and what don't. For example, in that previous replay, I don't think the Cleveland pinned me as having my torpedoes ready, or having them ready to fire. And I clearly did. And even once I fired them, I'm not sure how much he did to try and evade them. And it's all about, you can, for example, I see on my thing here that there's 2 flights of aircraft near me. Now, I know based on the mini-map and based on looking at them before that one of them's definitely a fighter and one of them looks to be a scout, so I'm not at all worried. But there are warnings all over the screen for when there's planes incoming, torpedoes incoming, and a lot of times you just have to see. You know, if you see a destroyer going broadside like this, chances are he's either running away or launching torpedoes, and you should assume he's launching torpedoes. So what I should be doing right now is turning in, putting my nose into the direction the torpedoes are going to come from, so that way if a torpedo does hit, for example, I didn't do it, really should have. If I had turned in rather than kept sailing on firing the guns while they were reloading, it's very likely I would have only taken maybe 1 torpedo hit. I definitely wouldn't have taken 2. And also, you gotta, I think part of it is that this isn't World of Tanks where you let go of the W key and all of a sudden you stop moving. As we'll see, this Congo aggressively push this St. Louis out of the way. It's something you have to pay attention to. You have to pay attention to kind of where you're going and things like that. But, so I guess the net of that ramble about torpedoes is I'm glad they're in the game and I hope they stay. I've been killed many times by torpedoes, and there have been games where torpedo planes, like 3 flights of torpedo planes have sunk me before I even see an enemy ship. And I guess that's very similar to what it feels like being cross-mapped in War Thunder, or having artillery basically end your game before you start it in World of Tanks. But I think torpedoes are necessary and should be here to stay. believe that's a Kawachi over there. I can't tell from this range. Oops. That hurt. There's some torpedoes heading to him, too. But it's something I wanted to... I'm thinking about doing... Because recently I did a War Thunder stream. And some people asked, oh, would I stream World of Warships? And I was considering it. I hadn't initially decided to do it. And because the difficulty is that, well, one, Phil isn't in the closed beta, so it makes it a little more difficult because it's easier for me to do the streaming thing when Phil's there and we can talk and things like that. I feel like it's more entertaining and also just more fun. The thing with World of Warships is that it'll probably just be me, and you know, it might be a little more difficult. Ouch! That guy's last salvo did some work to me there. But I want to give it a go. I think I want to give the World of Warships stream thing a go. Don't know when. This weekend I have a bunch of plans. I got a lot of different things I need to be doing. Because, okay, 12,000 damage on non-Citadel hits. That's not nice. That tells you kind of the power of these battleships, these main guns, considering my rank 5 cruiser had 3 Citadel hits, which is like ammo racking a ship. And I did just under 8,000 damage. I think I had 3 penetrating but non-critical hits from these guns, and I did 12,000 damage. It's a lot, and this is a rank lower. And that one, I did hit his Citadel, and he took a lot of damage. I definitely do really enjoy battleships. They are fun. I like cruisers a lot. Destroyers I'm not very good at, but I don't know. I guess to get back on track. There goes second batteries. The stream thing. This weekend I have some plans I need to do. Okay, this is where I was going. For some reason, my professors have decided that April Fool's Day is the best day to have a test. But we're not calling it April Fool's Day. We're calling it just April 1st. Because if they call it April Fool's Day, everyone will think we don't have a test. But we do. So that's a thing. So I need to study for that. But then the next weekend, I believe, is Easter. And I'll be driving up to hang out with Phil at his place. So those 2 weeks are pretty covered. I maybe could stream from Phil's place, maybe on like Saturday early afternoon, like before. We'll see. We'll see. It won't happen this weekend though. Not this one. Next weekend at the earliest. Maybe the weekend after that, if we're lucky. Just because, we're getting towards... we're getting really towards the end of the semester, and that's when things really get kind of hectic. But what's happening in this battle, because I've waffled on enough... Oops. My first salvo actually destroyed him. I had one hit to his Citadel that critted him and completely annihilated his ship. So that's a little awkward. They only have 2 ships left, and one is a cruiser who's way over there. I can actually shoot at, maybe. The other is a battleship who is being harassed endlessly, I imagine, by our carrier-borne aircraft. And the reason I came back over here to get rid of that cruiser was he was making a move on our carriers, and carriers are very valuable in World of Warships. I would argue that when you have carriers in the game and you keep them safe, they can win games. They can single-handedly win games, just because their torpedo planes are just so effective against battleships in particular, cruisers if they're not paying attention, or if you can get those ships sort of lined up where they're between a rock and a hard place and they can't maneuver, and you get the whole spread to hit, which I've managed to do a couple times with my Independence on some I think it was on a Congo where he ran into the edge of the map and I got the full spread of torpedoes to hit him. And he was quite devastated. But those shots are not going to hit. Oh, friendly. Let's avoid him. But that cruiser is the last enemy running around. And I know soon they should be adding German battleship or a German tech tree, which I'm actually really excited about. But I'm really enjoying World of Warships. Hopefully it enters open beta soon, where everyone can play, because that'd be pretty cool. So what should you take away from this video? I waffle on endlessly about nothing. But it was a really fun game. I believe this was the previous most damage I'd ever done. I think, maybe not. I don't remember. Because I had done maybe 70,000, and then that first replay eclipsed that with 90,000, or just under 90,000. But yeah, so that's the rank 5 Omaha and the Myogi. Two very powerful ships. Prefer the Omaha over the Myogi, I think, but that's mainly due to torpedoes. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'm a Corny Swiss, and I'll see you next time.